Welcome back to San Diego 6 News on your weekend. Time now is 8:30. The debate over health care continues. There's now a Democratic proposal in the Senate, but will it pass in the House?
Republican Congressman Bilbray joins us to talk about that and other hot topics here in San Diego. Looking all relaxed for this beautiful surfing day.
He's
Congressman, thanks for being here.
Waves,
Absolutely.
Right?
Water's warm, the swells up, and you know, this Senate bill is kind of a classic example where you've got somebody who's trying to be moderate and is going to get hit from both sides. And I think that as soon as the senator proposes is getting banged back and forth. But there is an issue that I think we're finally kind of looking at, and I think that hopefully we can start off with that, and that is, why haven't we done more to stop waste, fraud, and abuse? The president pointed it out, said it's a huge amount of money, and it's one of those things that I think that both sides can say, okay, let's take on our, Republicans, you got to take on your insurance buddies, Democrats, you got to take on your trial lawyer buddies, and we've got to protect the consumer first, and let's go on that. And at the same time, you're talking about a major crisis coming down the road, and you mark my words, within the decade, we won't have a doctor to show up. We've already missing nurses, and God forbid that if we don't address that now while we're talking about health care, it's going to be the next big crisis that everybody says we got to do quick because we didn't do it back in 2009.
Now, the issue with public option, though, as far as this bill not having a public option, what do you think that's going to do? How do you think that's going to persuade people as far as voting on this bill?
Well, I'm kind of excited because one of the things from my town hall meetings I got was, why choose between big business and big government? What about allowing people to get cooperative efforts? The credit unions were the one financial institutions structure that didn't have crisis before. Why not look at the credit union option? And that's something I was really pushing. It was great to hear the president pick up. And that's actually, I think, where both sides are kind of meeting the middle ground. Why create just one new option, government, when you could create hundreds of new options by allowing cooperatives and like a credit unions to get out there? And I think we all know credit unions are a major, major consumer benefit. Why don't we make that available to people for their health insurance?
Well, the big debate of this week was not so much even on the health care proposal. A lot of it was about your colleague, Congressman Joe Wilson. And the question is he raised over $2 million after this incident. What does that in itself say about the state of our politics right now?
I think Joe was totally out of line. He broke protocol, and he said that. The issue, though, was he said what everybody was thinking. Look, Mr. President, unless you require that you check that people are legally in the country before they get benefits. We all know that the illegals are doing. This wink and this nod that Washington's been doing in the past have just got people so frustrated. Democrats, Republicans, independent, and it really hurts our credibility. So when the president said that and Joe said that, it was sort of like, somebody finally said it. And so I think the big issue here is now to go back. I think everybody in Washington knows now verification is going to be a minimum standard. And I think you're going to see it not just on benefits. I think you're going to see verification now on things like voting. Verification is now going to be the new gold standard. So Joe took a heck of a beating, and rightfully so, but I think he did a service in the long run by making all of us admit that it was sort of, this has been a shell game.
So do you think he's some sort of martyr-esque type of thing?
No. And in fact, you know who was the hardest on Joe? Was his wife. His wife called up and said, "Who was that idiot who screamed out?" And Joe had to tell her, she goes, "No, Joe, you didn't." And she was outraged. So he goes home and catch holy heck about it. You got to understand that this was very much violating the protocol. And a lot of these deep Southerners, this is a very important lifestyle issue to them.
Right.
All right. Well, talking about something that's near and dear to your heart, we've been talking about algae fuel and the way that it could be big here in San Diego, creating jobs. Tell us a little bit about this and what you were a part of.
Well, I'm excited about it. I served 6 years on the Air Resources Board, 10 years in the Air District here. So it really frustrates me to see Washington chase these, environmental snake oil like ethanol. I'm catching hell in Washington for opposing ethanol. But here, our own scientists here at Scripps got together and developed a new algae strain that actually can produce not just something like gasoline, but gasoline. Not just something like diesel, but diesel and Jetco. In fact, last month, the first jet flew with its starboard engine with biofuel, and that biofuel, algae fuel, actually produced more power than the fossil fuel. So I'm really excited about this. This is a true green fuel. You don't have evaporative emissions and pollution problems with ethanol, like ethanol. You're not burning up people's food to do it. So this is a great breakthrough, and it's one of the things we really want to talk about. And this week, the first car drove across the United States burning this new new technology.
And we saw you driving it there in some of the pictures up on Capitol Hill. 150 miles per gallon. How far off are we from this actually being mass-produced, something that we could buy?
The biggest problem is 10 years is here in California, sadly, because of our government regulations that supposedly are protect the environment. They have to go out of state, and so they're doing it in New Mexico. And I think that's one of the things that those of us that care about the environment have to go after regulations that mean well but stand in the way of this technology. We've got to make it legal to do appropriate technology to do the right thing. And we've over-regulated, so that we can do it within the decade, we can move it, but only if government makes it legal. And I look at this technology, I look at our Carlsbad firm that called Aptera, that's got the car that can get 150 miles. We are battling right now to get Washington to allow that to qualify as a car. So these regulations that Washington has and the state has need to be eliminated. Algae right now does not get the tax credit and the benefits and that ethanol does, even though it's a much better environmental rag. So I think we're going to see it, and we're going to see it without knowing it's there. This fuel can be phased into the existing refineries and pipelines, unlike ethanol, and we will be pumping it without even knowing that it's there.
All right, looking forward to that. Inspiring stuff here.
We need the political pull of Iowa, and then maybe we could get it to happen. Right?
Well, that was maybe we'll start the primaries here in California.
Earlier. Right.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much. Enjoy the waves today.
Thank you
Make sure
very
you get out
much.
there. Enjoy
Great
some
to be
San Diego
home.
weather.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks so much for
And
being
charges
here.
this year, good?
Very good.
All right, great. For more information on Congressman Bilbray and this interview, just go to our website, san diego6.com.